Hello, thank you once again and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we are going to continue from where we left off in the previous part of the series. If you remember, in the first installment, we provisioned the resource group in Azure using Terraform. What we are going to achieve now is to provision a virtual network inside the resource group that we created. In order to do this, let us first of all proceed. We are going to make a couple of changes here in order to make this provisioning easier for us. By that, I mean that we are going to create another file where we are going to declare some variables that we are going to use for the provisioning. The variable makes it easier to um, to deploy your resources so that whenever you want to make some changes, you could just go to the variable file and declare it there instead of trying to find different places that you declare uh, this attribute all over the file, trying to change them all over the place. In order to do that, let us proceed. And what I intend to do, instead of changing what we've got, this code, I'm going to replicate this folder or this file or the folder itself. Actually, I'm going to replicate it, and then we make our changes in the new folder. Let me go there to my folder, and the current folder where I have this lesson is called lesson 1. What I'm going to do, let me copy this and let us copy lesson 1 and let's call it lesson 2. So when we check here now, we've got 2 folders. And let's go back to the Visual Studio. I'm going to close this first one. Now this is the one we just created, so they're basically the same. But like I said, we are going to make our changes here. First off, let's go and create a new file that we are going to use for the variables.tf. And here we are going to declare our variables. To do that, we are going to also make some changes here. Just a bit, very basic. We are going to leave this part because these ones we are going to declare just once. Let us just comment this out because we are going to also create a variable for this very resource group and use the variable to declare it. So let's go back to our folder, in my case folder 2. Oh, I've already created the variable. So that's the variable. Let's start by creating a variable. The first thing that we need to do, if you remember, we are going to also create variable for this resource group. The variable would be, let's call it variable, and the name, let me call it a resource group. Let's call it resource group. And let's give it a description, my resource group. The next thing that we need is the type. The type will be, this will be string. And let us also declare the default. Let us call it resource group. So if you have followed the previous videos that I did, you will find that, by the way, this type is like the kind of the data type that we are going to use. So it is important because obviously the type of the variable would be string. But as we continue, you are going to see other kinds of variables that we are going to use. So here we already have variable for the resource group. The next thing that we need is a variable for our visual network, which is the main thing that we wanted to create here. Let us call it vnet. And just the same as what we've got here, it will be the same data type. We can just make some basic changes here, and let us call this one vnet. And this one, let me just call it vnet. The next thing we need to create is a variable for the virtual machine itself. Sorry, not a virtual machine, but for the address space. Let's call it address space. And description, let us just copy what we've got here and paste there. Resource address space. Default, let us call it space. Let's not waste time. So I'm just trying to just give it any name, space. The next thing we need is for the location. Oh, the address space shouldn't be a string. It should be a list of strings. List of strings. It is very important to be careful with these data types, because if you make a mistake, you are going to your code is going to throw an error. And our address space we are going to use is 10.1.0.0/16. The last thing we need is variable for the location. Let's paste this here. My resource location. Let's just call it my location. This is actually all the codes that we need. Let's go back to our file here, and let us start to declare our variables or our resources. The first thing that we need is resource. The name should be the same as what we've got before. Oh, resource group, it should be resource group. Let us give it a name, RG, as in resource group. What it requires, name, the name should be variable. Now we have to call the variables that we created. The next thing is location, variable location. As you can see, this is exactly the same thing we had earlier. The only difference is that we are now calling our variables from here. Now, let us go and create our virtual network, which is what we intended to achieve in this tutorial. Azure Visual Network. Let's give it a name. And then let us call the attributes. The first thing is the name. We called it vnet. The next thing we need is its location, which is variable.location. Then we need to call the resource group where it's going to sit. Resource group dot rg, which is resource group dot name. The next thing that we need is the address space. Address space. That's all the code that we need. As you can see, this is very neat. It's easier for us to kind of look at it and see if we are missing something. So the advantage of this is that if we eventually decide, for instance, to add additional data, maybe we could just go here and make any change that we make here would reflect here. That's the advantage of declaring variables in this case. The next thing we need to do now is I'm going to go to my Azure portal. Not Azure portal. Instead, I'm going to go to my terminal and log into the Azure portal itself. Let's see what we've got here. We are going to get into lesson 2. Lesson 2. We've got all our files. Let's clear the screen. To log in, I'm going to use Azure login. Use device code. It's going to give us a link to use to log in. As you can see, I copied this link. There is also a code that we will need. Let me go on the link. Let me grab the code that we were provided. Log in. Proceed. Now I'm logged in. Let me go back to the terminal. Let me continue. Now the next thing we need to do is to initialize the code. Terraform init. And now let's validate. Good. Now let's plan. We are going to be caught if we made a mistake. It's always at this stage. Oh, location is missing something. Let's see, my location not found. Okay, let's check our code. This is, let me see where we are having this error. My location, lesson 1, line 26. Line 26. Let's see, line 26. I see the location. What do we have as location here? Oh, this should be, what is it? I think it's Europe West. West Europe. Oh. This should be West Europe. Let's go back to our code. Clear the screen and initialize our code again. Let's validate and plan. Everything seems to be fine. We are going to deploy to add 2 items, nothing to change, nothing to destroy. Now let us Terraform apply. Yeah, as you can see, it's completed. 2 items were added, nothing was changed, and nothing was destroyed. Now let us go to the portal and see deployment. Currently, I haven't got anything here, no resource. Let me refresh. Let me search for resource group. That's our resource group. And that's the VNet that we just deployed. Visual Network, West Europe. Let's get into it. Obviously, at this moment, it's empty. Let's see the properties. That's the address space that we assigned. Otherwise, nothing else is configured here. So that's the process of deploying network, VNet, Visual Network using Terraform. And the next thing we need to do now, let's go back and destroy our deployment. Otherwise, we are going to incur some charges as time goes on. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If yes, could you just give me a like, subscribe, add some comment, and just let me know what you think. Thank you. Bye-bye.